it's better to start today than tomorrow.
Exactly.
Because tomorrow's a new day, and you should have started, a day beforehand to be one step ahead.
Start yesterday. That's a saying I used to have. Start yesterday.
Yeah, with that, and I think that even for me, it's like I put it off. I said I could have probably did my freshman year, junior, or sophomore year, but I put it off. I didn't want to look like the weakest link, but something clicked, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, you got two options. You can either be a bench warmer, or you can maybe start and have a decent career and, maybe go on to play college football.
Yeah.
And, I like that option better than
sitting on the bench.
Sitting on the bench and
here's some water, guys. Here.
Yeah, get beat up on the scout team, which, everybody's got to pay their dues.
What is up, everybody? This is Joe Adams, and welcome to the Relentless Pursuit Podcast. What we do on this podcast is bring in guests from all different backgrounds, all different walks of life to share their journey and everything along the way that led them to where they're at today. We're here to make an impact, and we're here to connect, and that is what we do. So if that is for you, like, subscribe, everything under that. If that's not for you, I don't know what your problem is, but please jump on board. But without further ado, I would love to introduce today's guest, Mr. Aaron Hines.
What's up, brother? How are you?
Woo! I'm doing well, man. It's an honor to have you here.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me out.
Of course. We've been talking for the past hour, per usual. This is what I do. We don't even jump straight into it, but it's always fun to kind of build that dialogue. You know what I'm saying? Build a connection. And I think you're a pretty cool dude. So I'm excited to hear your story.
That's good. Well, hopefully some of the listeners will think the same.
Yeah. I mean, you look like you know what you're talking about, too. So you got the glasses, the beard's got the grays in it.
Yeah.
I'm getting my gray streak right up through here.
Lots of wisdom, or who knows. Call it what you want.
Yeah. If whatever you want. It's whatever you want it to be, So, dude, I'm glad to have you. I forget how we got connected. LinkedIn, I think.
I think it was LinkedIn, or was through.
It was LinkedIn, and then I messaged you, or one of us messaged each other, and I was like, yeah, let's get you on the pod. And then I saw Terry that same afternoon.
Okay.
And Terry said, yeah, let's talk to a guy that's going to be on your podcast, Aaron Hines. And I was like, oh, yeah, exactly. I was like, well, if you're talking to Terry, I trust Terry, so I guess we're in good graces, man.
Terry's a good dude. I think I met him for breakfast that morning, or maybe you saw him that afternoon, or but
it's hard to say.
But I mean, I do think it's just more in this connection of local dudes trying to make an impact on the community, and so here we are.
Here we are, man, and I love it, dude. So I want to hear about you and your story, the journey that's led you there, man. I want to hear all about it. So what I would like you to do first is just tell us where it is you're at in your life now, like what you do today briefly, and then we'll take it back.
Yeah, so today I run a small semi-private training facility in Brentwood, Tennessee, where we specialize working with men and women 50 and older who are just trying to live life pain-free, lose a little bit of weight, but also do the things they didn't think were possible probably 20 years ago. So their biggest thing is playing with the grandkids, doing gardening, going on trips, traveling overseas without being in pain and discomfort, and having a good time with that. And on top of the adult side of it, we work with athletes. So sports performance is kind of my jam. It's always been that way. I was an athlete, former college athlete. So we work with third grade up to seventh grade in some of our groups, and then we pony up through eighth grade through high school and college, where we're I would say the best of what we do, because we guarantee parents that if you're in our program for at least 90 days, that your kid will be running at least 1 mile per hour faster and jumping at least 3 inches higher in that time frame. And that's my guarantee. And if not, I'll train you until you do.
Nice.
For that. So that's what we currently do now. We have a staff of probably 4 individuals, say 4 including me. So we have an admin. Her name is Emily, which a lot of you probably hear from a lot. She's awesome. She's probably the thing that keeps the train running and rolling down the track. When we got 2 trainers, Coach Mason and Coach Brian, and then you got me. So makes a total of 4. And you may be asking, where's the other trainer? Well, one of our trainers is leaving, bidding him farewell for the better. He got a job as a youth minister or children's minister for a church. So, I mean, that's what we want to do, is to get these guys and gals in, get them to where they want to, and hopefully spread their wings and do bigger and better things. So
hell yeah, man.
That's where we're at right now.
I love it. And you're a family man?
Yeah, I've got 2 kids. My kids are 8 and 6, and my wife, we've been married for almost 15 years this year. So
Congratulations.
yeah, appreciate it. So a husband, father, dad of jack of all trades. I can't fix anything, but here we are. I can do fitness, and that's about it.
Yeah.
I can write books. I'm an author, 5-time author, podcast guest. Not a host yet, but I've been encouraged to do my own podcast. But and over the last probably year and a half, I think I did probably 30 podcasts where I was, sharing my story or just trying to encourage people to get out, move better, feel better, and just be fit. I mean, that's the biggest thing. You don't have to do everything, but you can do something to kind of build yourself a better life and better lifestyle. And that's
I love it, man.
Kind of what I like.
Dude, I forgot about the book thing. We're going to bring that up because I want to look into your books and have you talk about them a little bit too, so you can give me an idea. I'm actually working on a book too.
Yeah, it's
giving us some time. It's going to be
the first, we can talk. The first book took me probably 2 years because I had probably 5 books in one. So it's really like narrowing down what you want to talk about. And I've always been told, are people going to read your book? Probably not. They're going to read the cover.
Yeah.
And I don't really care. I mean, you read the book, read the cover, you have it on your bookshelf. So eventually you're going to read it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a moneymaker. It's more of a marketing tool. So
exactly.
Unless you're big time. I'm not trying to be worldwide. I'm trying to be local famous.
Yeah.
So with that, I mean, a book's another thing you can give somebody they can read and hopefully be encouraged and also learn a few things. And maybe, if they're not a client, maybe they become a client.
Yeah. Hell yeah, man.
Down the road. So
good stuff.
That's the fun part.
Is it all fitness geared? Or is your story or anything like that?
Yeah, the first book is called The Athletic Advantage. It's a story. It's kind of my backstory of kind of how I got started in health and fitness. But in the first book, I put a lot of sweat equity into it. So there's 10 chapters that involve 10 different athletes that I trained, and just some things that they overcame, whether it was an injury or maybe it wasn't being a starter. Because everybody wants to be a starter, but they don't want to do the hard work to get there. Injuries, broken ankles, not being the top on maybe the swim team, but then became a 3-time national champion. To the last chapter was more or less the determination and grit that one of the kids I trained just was kind of a go-getter, man. He was a football player. And his story of, being up, sending me videos at 10:30 at night, him being QB, but kind of to wrap it all in is the kind of in honor of him, he passed away in a car accident after workout. So it's more or less, you're never granted, every day. And his whole thing was never take anything for granted. And so that's kind of where I like to encourage athletes of you never know what the next day is going to bring you.
Yeah.
So if you can just take advantage of the here and now and not worry about tomorrow, that's what really matters. You got to make an impact now because you never know. And his impact is lasted. We have these bracelets here. They say never take anything for granted. They got his signature and his number on there. So cool. I give those out to the kids. They're free. They always think they have to pay for them, but it's more or less how much is it? But it's more or less of in honor of him and his dedication to working out with me. And it just shows them anything's possible if you put a little extra sweat equity into it and a little time and effort and energy. Things can go a long way for that. So that's the biggest thing with that book. I mean, all the other ones are geared towards, one's more of a mental state of, the mentality side of what it really takes to be great. Mm-hmm. Everybody wants to talk about it, but no one wants to be about it. And that's kind of where we're at with that. And the other one's more geared towards the active aging population.
Interesting, man.
That we work with. So that's a lot to it. And then, I call it, it's probably not a good way to put it. I call it's a nice toilet read. And you can read it for 30 minutes. If you're in there longer than that, then you get bigger problems. But
30 minutes on the toilet?
They're a quick read. It's nothing crazy. It's nothing you're not going to have to think too hard on it. It's probably stuff you've heard before, but just to reiterate it in maybe a different way.
Hell yeah.
From a trainee perspective or somebody who sees those type of people on a daily basis, gives you a little bit different perspective.
Heck yeah, man. Well, dude, I'm definitely going to check these things out. I have to get the titles. I'm pretty sure. I think you have them listed on your LinkedIn too.
Yeah.
But yeah, nice, dude. Well, let's talk about what led you here, man. Let's take it back. Let's take it to the early days of Aaron. Young buck. Where you from? Where you hail from? And, a little bit about your childhood and some of the influences there that maybe have impacted you now. and let's just take the road.
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Foley, Alabama. So right there, Gulf Shores.
Deep South.
Yeah, way south. Memory's not very good as far as way back when, but I know we lived there for a few years. So kind of what my parents did. My parents were missionaries with the church, and so my dad was a pastor for as long as I can remember, probably until about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
For that. So if you know anything about pastors and families, they usually move quite a bit. So we moved from. I may have the timeline off, but from Foley, Alabama, we moved to a town, I think from there to Grove Hill. I think that's right. And then we moved to Middleburg, Florida. And then we moved to Tifton, Georgia. And then we moved back to Alabama.
Tifton's in the middle of nowhere.
Tifton is, yeah. And
yeah,
so,
I've been there.
Yeah, there's a lot of, I won't say random places, but places that my parents would call to go and teach, others about Christ and the Bible and everything else. So that led us to back to Alabama for a while, and then they were called to serve on an Indian reservation in Newtown, North Dakota. So we moved from South Alabama for like 80 degrees up to North Dakota for 5 years. And so if you know anything about the weather patterns in North Dakota, it could be really warm, and within 3 to 4 hours, it could be bitter cold.
Yeah.
So here we are, not having winter clothes and being up on, I'll say the recess for the first time, not really knowing. Like that morning was pretty cool. Nothing like cold, but like by the time recess was, it was like equivalent to sitting outside probably right now.
Pretty chilly out now.
12 degrees, and you feel like you got pins and needles in your arms and legs.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have enough winter clothing, right? So
yeah, you weren't prepared for that.
Weren't prepared. It's a real thin camouflage jacket, and there I am shivering on the playground. Cold as all get out. You walk back inside, the heat hits you, and you're like de-thawing a little bit. So I mean, that's kind of where we started playing sports from that area.
How old were you this time frame?
I was probably, I think it was like fifth grade.
Okay.
Fifth, maybe fourth grade. 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, maybe a little bit before that. But that's kind of where I started playing sports. Wasn't very good, played football. We wrestled up north. Wrestling's huge.
Yeah.
Whether you're good or not, it's like if you weren't on the wrestling team, you're probably going to be made fun of. Yeah, we didn't even have a weight room. I mean, if you're familiar with the old like kind of universal, I think it was like a leg press, pull down, maybe a row machine, all attached to one. It looked like it sat in the corner of the empty like coach's room. Yeah. That's all we had. And so all these guys who were on our teams were really, they worked on the farm. Their parents, had a ranch, and these guys were huge. Me being probably 4th, 5th grade, I didn't think anything about working out. We were just trying to get through sports from that. So we played football. We wrestled. And my parents had, it was one rule: you were either in sports or you were in the band, and that was because we didn't want to sitting around the house doing nothing, playing video games. I mean, that's pretty common. Maybe not so much anymore, but
the same for me.
Yeah. So here we are. I played the trombone. My older brothers played the saxophone and the trumpet. Sounded horrible, but we had to do what we had to do to get the practice in, right?
Yeah.
So living up there was probably a whole different experience than most. We were the minority on the reservation, so there were people who lived there that white, Caucasian, whatever you want to call them. We didn't see a lot of African American people there. There were some, but you literally where we were was so remote.
Yeah.
It was like an hour and a half to anywhere we had to be. So if you had to go to the grocery store, there was local grocery store. But if you want to go to big sports store, it was Shield Sports. Shield Sports had everything from coats to like the old jerseys, the $20 jerseys you could wear to school, basketball, football, baseball, whatever.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the gold mine of going and shopping on the weekend. So it was an hour and a half there, shop for 2 or 3 hours, and then get all your big necessities. And we had stuff on the reservation, but it was tax-free, which is good and bad, right? A big casino on property there.
So you started gambling pretty young.
Yeah, it was more the video games. But I mean, from that experience, living there kind of taught me more about a little bit more diverse population. We were probably not the I call it the most sought after religious church on the reservation, because there's a lot of Lutheran, Catholic was really big. We were a small Baptist church, probably 20 members, maybe.
Yeah.
For that. So literally, I don't say the outcast from that, but a small church that we helped kind of grow and just minister to the community of people who had never, heard anything about God or whoever they believed in. They'd just kind of remote. A lot of the parents and kids we were friends with were come from broken homes. They had a dad, but they didn't know who he was or where he lived. So a lot of times our friends were camping out at our house because we had heat, we had food, we had water, and we had video games.
Dang.
I mean, those are kind of the big necessities there. But that's where it kind of came to where, we were, I don't say, we probably had 4 or 5 kids every weekend just staying at our house and
really
hanging out, because it was more of it was a safe place for them.
Yeah.
You didn't
That's
know.
Cool.
Drugs, alcohol was a huge thing for people up there. A lot of, we called them winos.
Yeah.
Just drunkards, parents.
Or you run into that. I've heard you run into that on, unfortunately, reservations as well. Like, pretty widespread.
It's, it's a lot of, drunken stupor, whatever, a lot of gambling. So let's just say they're not very good with their money. And that's okay. To each their own, they can do whatever they want to with it. But when you have somewhere who, friends who are, I don't say normal, but your parents lived in the same house, you had food, you had water, you had groceries, you had all the necessities. It was like our place was a place
rarity.
to be.
Yeah.
It was a place to be. And they didn't want to go home because they didn't know if they were going to, be able to eat supper, or they're going to have breakfast the next morning. And we would hang out at their houses too, but you never knew who was going to be there. It was either us on our own. And, my parents probably didn't know that at the time, but we felt safe because we were into playing video games, playing basketball, and trading baseball cards or cards in general.
Yeah.
So that's what we did to stay out of trouble, as opposed to, the ladder of drugs, alcohol, and, gambling. You say, well, you're probably too young for that. I think on the reservation, we get your driver's license at 14 or 15.
Oh, nice.
So maybe super young. So there's a lot of things that rules and regulations just didn't really pertain to them.
Probably not a lot of traffic either.
No, not a lot of traffic. So we could walk everywhere, right?
Yeah.
So we would we lived, probably our first place we lived before we moved into town was, I want to say, about a mile maybe.
Oh.
We lived kind of on the hill. The hill would go down and then it would come back up into town. So we would just ride our bikes.
Yeah.
So it was more or less, you stay at our house, bring your bike, because we're going to go ride our bike into town. You're going to ride around town. You're going to go to the Tasty Freeze, get lunch, make sure you have $5 or $6, and then who knows what? You may go to your buddy's house. You may go to the school park and play basketball. So, you're trying to stay out of trouble. And, we kind of attracted those kids who wanted to, I don't say live that kind of lifestyle, but also just be in their kind of safe place.
Yeah.
For that. So, it was not a lot of kids, but the ones we hung out with were probably some of our, best friends. And even we still talk to some of the families that we were in contact with that were actually our next door neighbors to this day. So, it's, you live a life of impact, even though some people may not agree with what you believe in or what you do.
Yeah.
But you still leave an impact somehow, some way on those people.
That's what matters.
And that's what really matters for that. So, from that time, we've gone back for, mission trips and things like that from other places once we moved back to Tennessee. So I moved back, kind of fast forward a little bit back to Nashville in 1999. That's kind of where we moved back from North Dakota. So we moved back because one of my relatives had...
If you don't mind me asking, sorry, not to interrupt. Yeah. You said there was like y'all were like the minority as far as the churches goes.
Yeah.
Was there any kind of weird like segregation between the churches, or everybody just kind of got along, or... was it, because sometimes, denominations, I don't know if there was like any butting of heads or anything like that, or if it was just kind of like y'all did your thing and it was good.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I would say no, but I don't know indirectly or directly.
I guess
too.
your parents would probably know better. But
yeah, parents may know, but we also did, we would go with, Sunday school to our friend's church.
Okay.
So a little different outside the box. You swap it up, go there, go to the Catholic church. We all kind of,
oh, cool.
We just all wanted to be, I don't say religiously sound, but make everybody feel more welcome.
Yeah,
it
for
wasn't
sure.
like, our denomination is better than yours. It was more or less, we're open
Because some places are like that, you know?
Yeah.
So
It's just more or less, let's be open to what people in the community want. And if, we're not going to sit there and ram it down your throat, but we're going to work together for the good of the community. Too much hate.
There's a lot of hate, dude. I'm over it. I hate how much hate there is.
Yeah, well,
that's where my hate lies.
You're either left or you're right, or you're. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I would say you can believe what you want to believe, and I'll believe it out, and we'll be happy.
Yeah. Well, see, I'll see like a peak of a mountain, right? And I'm hiking to the top.
Yeah.
To me, that's like God, right? Or the gods. They're all the embodiment of God, the one soul creator, right? And then like the way I look at it is like I'm working towards the peak, and then you're over there, and you're just on a different trail.
Yeah.
That's how I view spirituality.
Yeah.
If we're working towards that center together, just in different ways.
Everybody has their own path.
Yeah, I don't know. I know what makes me better. Yeah. I know it like makes me feel like helps me pursue a righteous path, and like I just can't change that. Yeah. So, anyways, fair. I love that. I like.
Well, that's fair. I mean, my way is the way I believe.
And I'm happy for you. Like you find like you're convicted, and you like. That makes you better and makes you feel that love and all those different things. If that speaks to you, then like, who am I going to tell you? Who am I to tell you you're wrong?
Yeah.
I love it for you, man. Good.
Yeah.
Anyways, I love having like those kinds of conversations because I just want to unite the world. Good luck. I don't know. I can't even maintain an Instagram account for longer than I just got booted from Instagram again.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. Permanently deleted. They hate me.
What'd you say?
I don't know. I just post positive stuff, like stuff from my podcast, and like, be better. Like it's really positive, and they just keep deleting me. And it's like the 10th time it's happened.
It's too positive.
Yeah, I know. They're like, you look how you do, and it's putting out positive stuff. You can't have none of that. Yeah.
Canceled.
If you were nude, maybe we'll allow that.
I'll say if I wore crop tops and tight pants, I'd have a lot more followers.
Dude.
Or maybe not.
Yeah, maybe not.
Maybe the wrong followers.
Yeah. Hey, they get you out there regardless. Okay, so you kind of closed on like the spiritual impact, like the community where y'all were at, and then you were fast forwarding to 99, moving to Nashville.
Yep.
Correct? Yeah, you want to start there?
Yeah, so we moved to, I think my grandfather was going to have either triple or quadruple bypass, and so my dad was born and raised in Nashville on Colorado Avenue.
Okay.
So kind of Sylvan Park area where we could walk to Star Bagel, probably my favorite bagel place in town.
Star Bagel?
Star Bagel. We would cut grass on the weekends and walk to Star Bagel to get lunch for that. So we moved to Kingston Springs, Tennessee. It's not Kingston or Kingsport, Kingston Springs. So thinking about like 20 miles west of Nashville.
Okay.
25 for that. So past Bellevue, but not Dixon.
Okay.
For that. And so went to high school there. Finished 8th grade, and then right across the streets to high school. So,
is that close to Montgomery Bell Park?
Pretty close, yeah.
Yeah,
probably
cool.
15, 20 minutes or so there.
Nice.
So my dad taught at the high school, and then my mom taught at the middle school for that. And so got there a little, I'll say lagging, probably education from where we were. I think it was a 2 to 3 year kind of behind on the education side of it, being on the Indian Reservation.
Really?
Education probably wasn't a priority because I think you could drop out of school whenever you wanted to. There was really no rhyme or reason. So when we got back, I moved to Tennessee. We were, I'll say, behind. And I struggled with math. Math is not my forte. A lot of mental breakdowns in math class. And, my teacher, I think her name was Miss Maria, very patient, very kind. And I would have kind of mental breakdowns on math problems and things like that. But, here we are, quite a few years later. And
you're like, two plus two. Like, it just doesn't make any sense.
I made it. As most say, I just count to 10 every day, so I can do that. I'm winning.
Yes.
For that. So, we played sports in high school. I played more probably football. I wrestled a little bit. Didn't do track and field. I tried basketball for 2 weeks and just wasn't for me. I was I consider myself an overweight asthmatic, and running back and forth on the court was not good for my asthma, even though I was trying to have it under control.
Yeah.
Wrestling wasn't either, but wrestling was one of those things that growing up in the North, we did it, so I thought I was going to be better at it. Wasn't very good at it, but I still kind of stuck it out till probably my junior year, and then really try to focus on the football side of it. So kind of where I got involved with fitness and more working out. I was highly encouraged to lift weights or do something else for that, and I just kind of put it off. I was lazy. Ninth grade, 10th grade, and my best friend Jacob Engelman, he worked out quite a bit, and I don't know, I just maybe envious of him. I just didn't want to step in the gym with him because I was weak. I was like 6'1", 171 pounds. Could wear like a large T-shirt and a size 29, 30 pants, which is super skinny. My mom always thought I had maybe a eating disorder because I was so tall and thin. But, from the working out and getting involved with kind of seeing what my friend Jacob did working out wise. And he worked out with an older guy. His name was Matthew Tent. He played at Vandy. Strong as an ox. His brother did too. And I was like, those guys are huge. There's no way I'm stepping in the gym with them working out together. But it wasn't until probably I met the gentleman his name is Wayne Collier. His son was a freshman. I think coming off my sophomore year. They had moved into town. And he just talked to me about working out and how he was a former bodybuilder back in the 80s in Florida. And I was like, this dude's huge. He looks really strong. And his son was, at the time, pretty jacked for, maybe a 13, 14-year-old. And I was like, there's no way possible. This is my body size, my frame. There's no way possible this can happen.
Check your birth certificate.
Yeah, I was like, what are they feeding this guy? But just knowing like what to do inside the gym, at that time, I was probably like super intimidating of working out. It can only lift the bar. It's humiliating to only lift the bar, but you got to start somewhere.
Exactly.
From that. So started with him. His son was a freshman. I was a junior. Going to my junior year, week has passed, couldn't do hardly anything, and this kid's just repping out, weights, making me feel bad, making me look bad. But getting involved with him was more or less of like a mentor of like how to work out and what to do. And it probably, my buddy Jacob probably, upset I'm saying this, but it was like, I didn't want to hear what he had to say because he was way stronger than me, wise. But I listened to Wayne because he had been there, done that. He was, coming up on, maybe his 50s and, he could rep out 225 on the squat rack 25 times. I was like, that's cool.
Yeah, I want to do that.
Yeah, Jacob, can you do that? No, but he would always like, work out and try to encourage me from that. But learning how to work out and what to do, I didn't know. So working out kind of like a bodybuilder did. We had the splits of leg day, arm day, chest and back. Mm-hmm. And then we had a rest day. And then it was, back to what we did at the beginning of the week. So it was like, 2 days a week of maybe legs and then chest and back and then biceps. And the next week, maybe 2 days of chest and back and then one bicep, tricep, shoulders, and then legs. And so that just the rotation ever evolved.
You made me think, and I got to just interject real quick. Well, the one thing you said is like, you got to start somewhere. And you because you were like, I was weak, and even now I'm sure you've run into it with newer clients. And I had people just, especially when they're just starting, I'm just weak. I'm so weak. Yep. It's like they got to remind me. Listen, it's okay. Like you're starting, you're here doing it. And that's like, because it does get in people's head, because if you repeat it to me several times, I know it's messing with your head. I'm not judging you, man. Yeah. I'm just stoked you're here doing it.
Yeah. And I think that's probably the biggest intimidation factor. Right? We see a lot of new clients or just people who don't come to the gym. They're like, they think they're weak or they know they're weak, but they don't want to step into a gym, open the door and, have all these people lifting heavy weight.
Yeah.
But like you said, you got to start somewhere, and it's better to start today than tomorrow.
Exactly.
Because tomorrow's a new day, and you should have started, a day beforehand and be one step ahead.
Start yesterday. That's a saying I used to have. Yeah, start yesterday.
Yeah, with that, and I think even for me, it's like I put it off. I said I could have probably did my freshman year, junior, or sophomore year, but I put it off. I didn't want to look like the weakest link, but something clicked, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, well, you got two options. You can either be a bench warmer, or you can maybe start and have a decent career and, maybe go on to play college football.
Yeah.
And, I like that option better than
sitting on
the bench. And
here's some water, guys. Here.
Yeah, get beat up on the scout team, which, everybody's got to pay their dues. But from that, like 170, I think my junior year was the year that I started because a lot of the guys graduated and it was kind of my time to shine. So can't play offensive line at 170 pounds because, that's small. Yeah. Even though, I went to a 2A school, and if you're 1A, 2A, 3A, 4, or 5A, Tennessee's now 6A. So 2A is kind of like bottom feeder.
Yeah.
Big guys. There's some big guys, but there's also some smaller guys. So, you got to, step up to the plate. So I think from that year working out, We worked out at the high school in the weight room. We listened to Van Halen's greatest hits on repeat quite a bit. So that's kind of my love of hair metal. Probably started there, but also a guy named Kenneth Kennedy in high school brought in some Black Sabbath.
God, I love Black Sabbath.
Rocked my favorite. I've never heard that kind of music before, but it was one of those songs I was like, dude, this is what music's supposed to sound like?
Good. You know, it's funny. Did you see that they're reuniting?
No,
the original Black Sabbath is playing in England like this year.
Oh, nice.
And I'm like, like I want to go to that. Like that's like a once in a lifetime deal. Anyways,
yeah, but that's kind of like where you got to find. People say music. I would say music doesn't have an effect on your lifting. I beg to differ. Like I've gone to the gym and not worked out, or I've worked out, but like your AirPods die, or you forget them at home.
Yeah,
like it's the worst workout I've ever had in my life, because I can hear everybody else grunting or talking, or you're just mind wanders. So music does play a big part, and that's where we put on Van Halen's greatest hits and put it on a repeat for that. So getting you jacked from 170, probably 171 to, I think I kind of teetered up to 190, maybe 195 through that. And I think my playing weight my junior year was about 200 pounds for that. So
nice.
What we did in the kind of cycle of lifting we did, probably not conventional for most. You would say it's probably, you're not mobile, you're not going to be as athletic, but that's what I knew. Bodybuilding was a way, and if this guy was jacked at 50, then why not take his advice from, supplementation to what to eat, what not to eat. I didn't know. I mean, I just ate whatever I wanted to, and, a protein shake every now and then. But seeing the gains from like junior year to after junior year all the way up to my senior year, you put in the consistent work and the results follow. I mean, I was probably, a nice way to put it, one of my college coaches said, I probably wasn't the best athlete, but I was good enough. And being good enough is sometimes all you need.
Yeah.
To be good enough to, make it to all region or whatever accolades you want to. There's a lot of ones I got that, I didn't think I had a snowball's chance to get, but just put your head down and grind it out. Sometimes the results follow from that. So kind of through those years, I played center. Center was my position. I played that for pretty much all through middle school up to senior year. Graduated for that. We were decent. Probably could have been a lot better, but
I was center for most of the time too.
Oh, really? Yeah. I mean, probably undersized still as an offensive lineman, but like playing at, I think junior year or senior year 205 was pretty solid.
Yeah.
I mean, not bad.
Solid kid.
Slow, didn't have any speed training, so quickness wasn't my thing. I could get the ball to the quarterback, and that's all I needed to do for that, and block people for that. So as far as like being the best, probably not the best. I was the only one from my senior year to go play college football, and I made it to Lambeth University. That was my only
Where's that at?
It was in Jackson, Tennessee. Now it's called University of Memphis Jackson.
Okay.
And at the time, it was more or less like I didn't know who was Lambeth, where are they, and where are they from. So my buddy Jacob, I talked about to work out. He was like, "Man, I'll go to preview day with you." So we drove to West Tennessee, not knowing where anything was. Liked it enough. It was small. You could see the football field from the main office or whatnot. Not too far away. You had the cafeteria on one side. You had the dorm on one side. You had the gymnasium. So it was out there in a small quad, probably 3 to 5 mile kind of radius. Per se for that. So got that option. Signed my letter of intent. Not as high profile as it is now. I think I had like a 5 or 6 little sentences in the newspaper. Coach, or I don't even know if the coach came down. Somebody came down, and my mom and dad and my football coaches. So there's a little write up in the paper. So it was legit.
You had the banner behind you. You're like shaking the hand, like getting your photo out. You're in a suit, and you're like,
Not as intense. I think I was in like maybe shorts and a t-shirt, but not as glorified as it is now. But it's still like one of those things. It was legit. Coming into it. So what do you do when that stuff happens? You've got to start training for the off season. The off season is, your freshman year of college. And, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what the run tests were, what the lift tests were, but I knew what had brought me to this point was what I continued to do. Except for my conditioning. My conditioning was subpar. So, one of my friends from school, Cal Sullivan, nice shout out, Cal. He's now he still lives in West Tennessee. But he played soccer. He played soccer at Lambeth.
Okay.
So we ran the track.
Oh, they got that conditioning down.
Yeah. So it was more of a push from that. So I'd run through the neighborhood for that. I had a good friend's dad would always yell at me, what are you running for? Why are you running? And I'm like, dude, I'm trying to stay in shape. He's like, good luck, see ya.
I let that one go.
Yeah, so it was more like we did like 2 laps around the track and we ran the neighborhood coming through.
Yeah.
We're talking about being winded and not in shape. But, the hard work and training paid off, from going with Mr. Collier to the Gold's Gym to work out, to running, to sacrificing time away from probably friends and doing other things, fun things that, high school seniors wanted to do. I pretty much just pushed that off to the side and said, I've got one goal in mind. I'm going to be the best I can be for, the school I'm going to, whether I start or not. I want to be the best in shape.
Yeah.
And so pulling up into the school, knew nobody, no friends, nobody was on the football team, but coming into it, you report to school, you get, whatever, a couple shirts, T-shirts. School didn't have a lot of money, so we got these old, I think, Champion mesh shorts and these Crusty Russell or whatever they were T-shirts. You wear them twice and the collar's all frazzled. Looks like,
like a mouse pad that's from 2000.
It looks like crinkled bacon, but that's what they had and that's
they
what
got
we did.
something,
but,
yeah.
Yeah. So, the first week is like run test, lift test, and choose in the best condition. And I swear to this day, I was the only offensive lineman to make my run test and my lifting test, where we didn't have to do ODARC 30s with Coach Hilly Walton at 5 a.m. So that was, the one thing that I thought was great, but it was a lot of guys who were there 5 days a week because they didn't hit their run times or lift, nothing panned out for them. So they did a lot of, you call it 2-a-days, where we had to lift, and they also had to do 5 o'clock workouts and condition for him because, 1, they weren't mentally ready, and 2, they weren't physically ready.
Yeah.
And I was
gotta do extra work.
Yeah, I didn't want to be that guy because I knew the punishment that could be handed down for not being in shape. It was the most miserable thing that could probably happen to you.
Oh, man. In the military, I saw it all the time. Like, guys that, wouldn't pass their run test, like, all right, you're going to be showing up to different stuff and you're going to get yelled at. And
you're done. And he was former military, our coach was.
Oh,
so
yeah.
He caught it ODARC 30, and, kids were like, what is that? He goes,
of course he did.
You'll find out. So, there's a lot of that. Some of the things we were punished with was guys who didn't make the test or didn't show up for lifts or workouts or whatnot. So it was more, teamwork, showing up and doing what was asked of you.
Yeah.
I did all of that, and not one day did I make the travel team or start or play in college, but I made it to that next level.
Yeah.
A lot of people talk about I made it to college, and I say I wasn't probably the best, but I was the best scout team player. I was the best teammate I could be for those 2 years I was there, and I did everything possible to help encourage, but also show up and do the work, even though I hated it.
Yeah.
I wasn't gonna be the starter. I just knew because I was undersized, even though I might have known the playbook backwards and forwards and sideways and could know all the plays. It still didn't matter because my athleticism just was a little bit behind some of the other guys for that. But at the end of the day, I made it that 1% that goes to college and play sports. You
know what? That's pretty cool. I appreciate that, man. And, because a lot of people get to that point or whatever, and they're like, man, screw this. Screw this, I guess I appreciate the consistency you've held, and that you were just, you didn't hold really any expectations. You didn't, because you get guys that maybe go and they're like, I'm going to start. And then they get all jaded because they're not starting, because maybe they aren't just athletically at the same level as some people. Some people just naturally are freaks of life, you know what I'm saying? And they got it, but they also, because there's people that can do no work and still be like miles ahead of you athletically. That's just how it is. But the fact of the matter is that you still went and you just did your best. You did the best you could for you.
Yeah.
And that says a lot, man. And I think that's a lesson you can pass on. You probably, you work with a lot of younger kids too. So that's probably I'm sure that's a teaching lesson for you. Just like always do your best no matter what.
Yeah.
Man.
Well, you never know when your time is going to shine. And there's a lot of times where I thought my name was going to be called to be, in the rotation.
Like the scene from Rudy.
Yeah, it was like, it was basically that. You put in all the work, effort, and my name was never called, but was it frustrating? Yes.
Yeah.
Did I complain? Probably, and I didn't complain to coaches because that was probably the first mistake to do that. But
listen, guys, I bust my ass.
Yeah, I want to be the guy, but they didn't see it that way, and that's okay. for that. So, I mean, you show up to the games, you dress out, you stand on the sideline for 3 hours, never get in the game. But all you can do is try to encourage other guys playing who are a little bit better than you, maybe a little bit faster than me. And, who knows, they probably got a little bit more money than me too, but that's okay. I was there and I showed up and I did it. And from that, just the lessons I learned, like some of my best friends are guys that I met in college to this day. I mean, we still talk to them in a text thread for those guys. Didn't think that was probably going to happen because you get there not knowing anybody. You're not sure if you're going to stay or go. But I did 2 years there and then I transferred. I transferred out. And sometimes you lose those relationships with people because you move to another school. But I mean, till this day, all those guys were in my wedding. We still talk to this day.
Really?
We send messages if we can remember birthdays. I mean, we're not good at it, but like life things happen. Like, a family member passes away. I mean, I was part of that process, or part of,
People have kids.
Yeah, people have kids, if you're passing through town, hey man, I'd like to meet up.
Yeah.
That type of stuff goes a long way. So it's not like you just get it, go there and forget it. These are things relationships you've built that, you may be able to help out down the road, or who knows?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
You're not going to lose that friendship. And if you do, you may rekindle that friendship down the road where you forget about them for a while and then kind of remember, oh yeah, they do live around here. Maybe I should, give them a shout and see what's up.
Yeah.
Because you never know what people are going through from that too. But it's just having that close-knit type of guys to kind of hang out with and just, share those things with. So, from there, I went to UT Martin. University of Tennessee Martin is about an hour and a half northwest from there. So, I knew nobody there either. My brother was there, and then now his wife. We all graduated at the same time in 2009. But I went from like, I'm going to be a computer science guy because I was into computers and I was going to make a lot of money, to that sucked. I'm going to be a history major, to you're not going to make any money as a history major because they don't make any money. So
Yeah.
I went like the health and human performance route, but at the school I was at, Lambeth, they only had athletic training side of it. And I didn't want to be an athletic trainer because I thought taping ankles was boring.
Yeah.
It needed to be doing. Somebody wants to do it. Somebody has a passion for that. That wasn't me. So I transferred out, lost I think 30 or 40 credit hours, had to stay an extra year for that, and grinded it out and graduated in 5 years instead of what it probably should have been 7 for that, with exercise science, healthy human performance, whatever the degree is, from there. And then getting out and think you're going to conquer the world after you're getting a bachelor's degree kind of slapped me in the face too, because it was a housing crisis of 2009, or the economy just kind of went to crap. So that didn't work out. I was like hustling for jobs, had no experience, and then I found myself working for my now father-in-law in a grocery store. And I'll say, if you never worked,
When was this?
This was 2009 to 2010 or 2000. Yeah. So if you don't know
I was
anything
in the
about
military at the time.
Yeah, so if you know anything about working in a grocery store, there's a lot more to it than just
That was my first job.
stocking shelves. So I learned a lot of like what not to do. It wasn't my business; it was his. For that, when there's a lot of learning lessons on that, you do what you're told, not what you think you should do.
Yeah.
Because you're an employee, you're not the owner. Now I'm an owner of a business, and now I can tell my employees what to do. But kind of role reversal, right? But it was an opportunity to one, have a job for that, and it was about probably now a year and a half doing that, and then I was like, I can't do this anymore. And it's not like I didn't like what I was doing. I just had more of a, I guess, better purpose of what I wanted to accomplish.
Yeah.
So I started applying to grad school. I halfway applied to MTSU. I halfway applied to TSU, and then I fully applied to Florida State. And those that know me, I'm a diehard Florida State fan, win, lose, or draw.
Yeah.
I've been a fan since I was 3. Since we lived in Middleburg, Florida. I don't know why. My parents and family are all Alabama. My in-laws are all Auburn. I'm the outcast. I'm a Florida State alumni.
Yeah.
So 2010, I went there not knowing, I didn't know anybody. I drove my 4-door Honda Civic stacked to the brim and pulled up on campus. I knew no one. I really got involved through kind of a local like ministry that was in the parking lot where I parked and almost got towed because I didn't know where to park. I get there, I have no ID.
A lot bigger than Lambeth or UT Martin.
Yeah, we're going from like
I've been to that campus. Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know how to compare it. It's like a small, really small to kind of moderate to like holy cow, like this. You can't walk this thing without being out of breath.
Yeah.
For that, so I went down there, got there late at night, didn't have access to what I should have had access to, didn't have a student ID, got locked out of my apartment on campus, drove around town, a little sketchy place I probably wasn't supposed to be, but I didn't know.
Yeah.
So I went and got me a sub at a local sub shop, came back, had to wait, 30 minutes for somebody to let me back in, finally get my things out and in. And then, from there it was like, all right, feast or famine, you're going to either make or break it. I know no one. My wife at the time, we were still dating. So she was in Nashville. I was in Tallahassee, Florida. And just from there, man, it was kind of a grind for that, going to class, not knowing as much as I thought I knew. My professor was pretty tough on me, but you can't have it easy. I was at the easy path was probably the easy way out for that, but she just kind of looked at me and told me, hey, your research background sucks, and I hope you can make it out of here and graduate. And I was like,
damn,
okay, well, the school I came from, we had a little bit of research, but we didn't have a lot of money for the research side of exercise physiology, so
yeah, sorry, that's not good enough for you.
So how did I get in? You looked at my application, so what happened? So
she was like, I want this guy in so I can just tear him down. That's all I care.
I bet she did. So she was like, good luck on that. And I said, well, by the way, I'm getting married in December. She goes, I hope you make it out as far as like getting through all this stuff and getting married, and hope everything kind of come to an end. And I was like, man, that's pretty brutal.
It's like, man, like what?
That's
happened?
tough.
Why are you being like this to me?
Why are you being so mean to me? I just got here on campus and I know no one. And you're pretty tough for that. But I mean, I made it out. I got a job there at a local kind of bodybuilding gym.
You said something about I was thinking about with football sports, and I admire you, man, because you're like, I don't know. There's no like. What's the word I'm trying to use? Anyways, all you've done really is just do your best.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like you set up expectation. Yeah, you've had a little bit of disappointment because you just want your chance to like maybe get on the field and play, right?
Yep.
It didn't happen. You accepted that. You're not looking back on it like, man, you're not entitled.
No.
And I think, maybe you work with younger athletes more so, but I think what I've seen just in sports when they're introduced early, unfortunately, kind of build an entitlement because you're here, you'll play, rather than like, hey, but then when they get to college or in that situation, and it's like, hey, the coach has probably seen you work your ass off, but they need the best on the field.
Yeah.
And so when people run in that situation, they're like, I don't know, I feel like over time you kind of like take on the mindset of like, well, I showed up. Isn't that enough? When in reality, like,
it's not
coach's job is to win. So I think it's kind of goes in hand with the everybody gets a trophy mindset.
Yeah, well, you see that more. There's probably an evolution of that now where it's like, well, I showed up to school workouts. I've done X, Y, Z. I need to get playing time.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Are you the best one? I don't know, maybe. Or should you start? You think you should, but I always tell my athletes, you've got to give a reason for a coach not to play you. Like, what is your reason? Are you the best one on the field? Are you sitting on the bench and you've been the best one all along and he doesn't know that? Or is he just playing favorites? I was like, give him a reason not to sit you on the bench and then you'll be the starter.
Yeah.
And for some of them, it's like, what do I need to do? Okay, well, show up early. Don't show up on time. Stay after practice. Whatever coach asks you to do it without complaining. But also, when you show up to my gym, the same way.
Yeah.
I'm gonna prepare you for not only whatever sport you're gonna play, but it's also we're gonna prepare you for like life's adventure, right? Because I learned a lot of things through the playing career of like what overcoming adversity. I got injured. I was out for the year. Wasn't playing, but it took me that long to figure out like what was going on, overcome that, get back on the field, and start playing and practicing again. For that, we're going to teach you a lot of things about how to be motivated.
Yeah.
I'm not just going to sit here and give you the plan, the workout plan, and expect you to super, exceed my expectations. We got to motivate you somehow, some way, like figure out what makes you tick.
Yeah.
So that way we can get you moving. You can, if you're not the starter, we're going to make you the starter. We just got to figure out what's gonna happen with that.
Yeah.
Because nothing worse than like coming in and complaining about, well, coach doesn't like me, or I'm not playing and I feel like I'm the best. Well, obviously you haven't given coach a good enough reason to play you. So we need to figure out what those things are.
Yeah, if he doesn't like you, just buy him a beer, I'm just joking.
If he doesn't like you, maybe we need to figure that out. Maybe we need to go, have a conversation. Ask coach why. Maybe ask him why you're not coaching, or her why you're not playing.
Chances are it's not because they don't like you either. I don't know.
Some of that could be true, and some of it could be from, there's a lot of favoritism in politics and, whatever, but you got to kind of look beyond that. Like what, give me a reason not to play you and you'll be the starter, right? Because, we've taken kids who have been quote unquote bench warmers and Johnny water bottles, taking them out to the players and from not playing to playing and then being a starter, then walking on a Division I school.
Yeah.
Or you're not in the rotation for, whatever team you are. You haven't been, but you've gotten cut or whatever. Like, we got to figure out why you're getting cut, why you're not getting playing time, and let's mold that into our training aspect. Yep. Like, because one, you've got to be mentally ready and emotionally ready, because all this victim mentality of like, oh, I'm not playing, I'm just going to quit. I'm like, dude, you got a loser mentality. And I don't train losers. And no. I'll say that. I said losers train down the road.
Yeah.
And we won't drop names of where they train, but I'll say a few places where you can train. If you want to be a loser and have a loser mentality, you can go down the street and train with them. Because at Premier Performance Training, we train winners and guarantee you that you're going to be a winner if you train with us and stick it out. Because up on my wall is a lot of pennants and a lot of schools we've helped kids and given them the tools to go and play at those universities. So
hell yeah.
If you want to be a winner, you can stick with us, but if not, that's okay.
That's fine.
We're not for everybody.
It's like they're like, okay, just like go be a loser. Fine. If you don't come, you're going to be a loser.
Take the L, baby, and just move on. No, but we mean that sincerely. Like, we're not for everybody, and we're not going to be. So, like, you're going to put up and show up, and you're going to be trained by former college athletes, myself. You can call it D3 or above. We've got Division I football player that works with our athletes, and we also have a Division I baseball player that trains with our athletes.
Nice.
So you want to train with winners? I mean, why not train with us?
Yeah, exactly, dude. Hey, well, man, you boast that, and you're the thing is you're confident in it, and you've proven it too, though. So I'd say you have all the reason to.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to do that, man. If you can showcase, you got to prove yourself. Especially, there's a lot of competition around.
Yep.
There's going to be people that are going to try to take your business or like try to sell what they have that it's better. They may have like fancier equipment, whatever the case is. Because some people may have the finances just to go deck out a space. And to everybody, a lot of people, that looks great. And they're like, man, they must know what they're doing. But you don't know who's backing it. But it really comes down to like who's actually behind it, who's in there doing the work. That's the most valuable part.
Yep, I agree with that. It's like you care more about the money's great. I would say money's great, but do you care more about the dollar signs, or you only care about the dollar signs?
Mm-hmm.
We care about more than that, because one, we got to get paid. We all know that. Money's great, but if you're not pouring into the people we train, you're not getting more than just, a couple extra sets on the bench press or whatnot. We want to be internally what gets you ticking, and we want to know more about you in the next 90 days or however long you're with us than just the surface level stuff.
Exactly.
Like, payment's great. We love getting paid, but it's also like, if I don't know, who you are as an athlete or whatever you need to do, as far as like what's going on at school, what makes you tick there?
Yeah.
What kind of grades you're getting?
Yeah.
Are you reading your books you're supposed to? Are you actually just skipping out on stuff? Like, for me, I care more about that than the other things, because if you're not we're not, helping you be I say better community member, then I failed you as a leader and as a trainer or coach for that. So it's more about that. Can we actually mold you into a citizen in the community who's actually going to pour into more people, maybe be that mentor to them or whoever it may be? That's where it's at.
Yeah, man.
And we've done that. And I don't say not with everybody, but getting back into kids who come 3 or 4 years after they've trained, and like, you're the reason we got one kid who, he's probably a grown man now, but he's a strength coach at Tulane University.
Cool.
I trained him in high school, trained him, to get him prepared for college. And now he's, at the D1 level being a strength coach. And
heck yeah.
He's never told me this to my face, but indirectly I've heard it from others who, I think from his dad, is like, I'm the reason that he is a strength coach, or I poured into him for so long. He saw what it could be and what it is now, and now he's pouring into other, athletes to kind of be that shining voice at the university he's at.
That's quite a quite a compliment, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's good. Sometimes you don't want to like, nah, it's not me. But
Stop.
Yeah, let's shrug it off a little bit. But
blushing.
But when they come back and call you and say, hey, man, I'm going to stop by the gym and see you, and I haven't seen this person in 2 or 3 years. I mean, that means a lot. You've made more of an impact on them as a person and individual than you really think, and that's probably what it's more about than anything else.
Well, that's interesting to bring that up, actually, because, obviously we got artificial intelligence doing its thing, right? It's going to be really involved in the fitness space. And I think, just like it's getting involved with everything. That's the beast, that's what it is. And we can't
stop
it. Yeah, it's doing what it does. Now, you can be all pissed off about it and be like, well, it screwed me over. I'm not going to do this. That's fine. But there's somebody that's utilizing it to grow. But on the other side of that, especially in the training aspect and coaching and stuff like that, what do you offer outside of that workout plan, right? So that, to me, the reason I bring that up is because, here this kid is strength coaching. He's a strength coach at Tulane, but like it stemmed from his journey with you. A lot of it did, right? And that. And so when you're able to offer people those life lessons and that kind of experience and that one-on-one connection, that's what's going to keep you afloat and help you thrive in the coming times. And then the people that are just like, oh yeah, here's your diet plan and your workouts and I'll copy and paste. Good luck, guys. I think that's only going to play out for y'all for so long.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's called personal training for a reason. You're personally getting to know the individuals on a kind of emotional level. So if you can dial those things in and get to know the person, I'll say not on the surface level. I mean, the AI stuff is probably, you're going to be surface training, surface level service. Maybe there's more in-depth stuff that we don't know yet, but it's also like you can't take the relationship building out of the training aspect.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's what people come to the gym for anyway. You've built that relationship with them. They could care less what kind of, cool workout you've planned for them, because in reality, they need somebody to talk to, somebody outside their four walls or their, emotional support from the family. And they're going to tell you things that you're like, what? Why are you telling me this? There's things that people have told me. I'm like, what in the world?
Yeah.
Why did you tell me? It's like there's safe space. So I think you can't take that away from the training aspect.
It's a very personal journey. So they're going to get personal with you.
Yeah, and you have to. And it's the one thing that I think will make people stand out more and better than the place down the street. And that's things that I think I do a good job of that, because I see, who knows, a couple hundred, let's say 100 people, but less than 100 people, maybe 50 to 75 people a week. And in order to have a conversation with each one of those people and get the story straight and remember people's names or where they've gone on vacation and who their kid's name is, what their dog, Fluffy or Ferguson, whatever his name may be, you get those things straight. That I think people like and appreciate that more than the scientific research you've done to formulate their workout program.
I don't remember any of that.
They don't care about that.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like, even in like the podcast space, right, there's going to be that artificial stuff there too. And it goes back to what you're saying, I think, because what you do and how you do it is authentic.
Yeah.
And so I think, personally, I could be completely wrong, so don't quote me, but I feel as if like all this is going to do is shed light on authentic shit. And authentic people are going to thrive at what they do. Yep. Because let's face it, in a lot of spaces, there's a lot of BS that needs to be cut out. And a lot of people and
they will be cut out. They'll be exposed.
Full of it. They're going to be exposed. Yeah. Yep. So it's going to bring you like, oh, let's take over that. Yeah. And the people that remain authentic are going to be the ones that really see it through. I truly believe that, man.
I agree.
Oh, cool. So
I agree with that. Because,
or it could be like, oh, we're going to take you all out.
You think there's a lot of stuff out there, and a lot of things, a lot of fluff, and people don't know about that. They don't know what's good and what's bad. But if you can be straight up with people, build a core relationship with them, and just be real, I think that goes a long way. Then I don't say lying to them. There's a lot, there's a lot out there that they'll say one thing and then do another, and then, I've heard stories of people being, paying full for contracts of training, and then they don't uphold the contract, and then they don't give you a refund. I was like, okay, that's some shady business right there.
Yeah.
If you're, emotionally tied to that, or you have a conscience, you're going to give that money back because one, you made a mistake and you've lied to those people.
Yeah.
But some people don't see it like that. They see it like, well, you paid. I mean, whatever. I'm taking your money and running with it. So I think it's
that's pretty sketchy.
Yeah, being authentic, being upfront with people, telling them what you can do for them from their health and fitness journey, whether it's an adult or an athlete or whatever. I think that's going to lead us to more clientele, more likable people in this industry, or just having more of those like-minded people, kind of magnetically come into your gym that way.
Yeah.
And then all the others will be exposed, and then the light will be shed on them of like, they've been posers the whole time.
Yeah, exactly, man.
Liars and thieves, and who's actually been supporting them? Like that's those circle of people are gonna, either scatter like bugs, or the other ones are gonna, shine, and all the other people are gonna come to them because what they've done is authentic,
100%,
as opposed to, we call it fake.
Yeah,
you want to call it.
Yeah, and that's just the truth. And it's like when off camera I talk to you about like nutrition. You don't give people a diet plan because that everybody's different. You take them on a journey, you give them that guidance, and you implement, you take out, and you help them build something that's sustainable. And I'm all about that. And I think that's just really important, man. And there was something I was going to tack onto that I lost as I started talking, and I'm frustrated about it.
Well, on top of that, if you can see everybody from a, I'll say different perspective on the meal plan aspect, because, I was a health coach for about 3 years, and like everybody wants, the perfect answer of like, how can I do this, or how can I get out of this situation, or how can I lose weight? Well, the answer that everybody hates is, well, it depends.
Yeah.
It depends on a lot of things. It depends on what you like, what you don't like, what you want to do, what you've done before. Did it work? Did it not work? And so I think going back to the, one size fits all approach, it's only going to be sustainable for so long. Mm-hmm. In the same way with the AI approach, it's like, well, you can do it, but then you can also do it pretty bad, and who's using AI, who's not right now.
Yeah.
How many emojis they have, what kind of words they use in their post, or just generic kind of fluff workouts.
Yeah,
I mean that's facts, because I've done it before. I've gone, hey, build me a workout plan, yada yada yada. We've all used the prompts. It's like, okay, that's cool, but it's like, do I really want to do that? Is it really something that I will stick to?
Yeah,
no, but it's a cool plan. It'll maybe work for a week or two, but then you wipe it clean and want to go do something else. So there's really no sustainability to it.
Yeah, it could get you like started, right? And but you talked about there being so much information out there. I mean, and all of it's opposing. Like I was watching something, but you could get on social media, right? You can find somebody that's telling you why you shouldn't eat meat. Somebody's telling you why you shouldn't eat veggies. Somebody's telling why you shouldn't drink water, why you shouldn't eat fruit. So by the time you go through the whole list, if you follow all that, you're just going to starve. Like everything's bad for you. So you might as well just not eat and just see what happens.
We'll go with that 45-day fast.
It's so insane, man. I'm like, what the heck? It's so messy. But that's the fact, is that you could find a reason not to do all these things.
Yeah.
And like, there's toxins all around you. You need to put this filter on this thing in your coffee. And I'm like, dude, I don't got time for all that crap. Like, like find what works for you.
Yeah.
You're going to get some toxins in from something. Guess what? You're going to be okay, because there's plenty of people that have lived long lives, healthy, strong, that have probably taken in a lot of the same shit. So you're good to go.
Well, I always like to say is like those who eat organic, in the next 5 years, the commercial is going to come out and say, if you've had organic food or fruits, or you've eaten healthy for the last 5 years, you may be subject to compensation.
Right.
So I was like, well, we might as well eat what we want to, because at the end of the day, we're all going to pass away at some point.
100%, man.
I like to say, eat what you love, and the things you really love, don't eat so much of it, because that's probably why you're in a bad situation anyway.
Hey, I think, don't get me wrong, there's some truth out there. I think just people try to monetize their paranoia.
Yeah.
That's how I kind of look at it.
You can look at like, you drink this type of water, or don't drink this type of water. I mean, there's a lot of things out there. You've got the O2, Gary Brecka. He's got a lot of things out there, which, like him or not, I get a lot of things from clients like, hey, should I eat this? Should I drink this? Should I hear what this guy has to say? But if you listen to him, there's some truth in it. But if you listen to the next guy, he's wrong.
Yeah.
Gary's wrong. This guy's right. At the end of the day, we probably shouldn't drink water, you know what I mean?
Dude, it's insane, man.
Just drink sodas and whatever else, you'd be fine.
Yeah, right. I mean, I think just be intuitive and be conscious about it. Obviously, it's like terrible for you, but at the same time, like, doesn't mean people are like, I just don't do sugar. And I'm like, well, great. My wife made me a key lime pie and I'm going to eat the whole freaking thing probably tonight. And I'm going to be good with it. I busted my ass all week. I've done my burpees. I deserve that shit. And people are like, oh, that's a bad thing. No, just stop it.
Yeah.
They start overthinking it for you. And just have discipline for yourself, but and build that, but also be able to just enjoy yourself how you want. A lot of people would disagree with that, but I'm like, whatever, man.
Well, I think there's too many restrictions put on things of what we should and shouldn't do.
Yeah.
And that's for, for a long time, I was probably more I won't say anti-running. I don't run. There's no reason for me to run.
Yeah.
It's not my thing. I walk on the treadmill for cardio, just for other joint issues and things like that I've experienced over the years. But, there's some that will say you should only walk.
Yeah.
And I've had people quit my programs because their physicians told them they shouldn't exercise and get strong. They should just walk. And so
thanks.
I'm like, appreciate that, but I think you're wrong.
Yeah.
I don't want to argue with you, but yeah, sure. To each their own, right? So it's like,
go find out.
Yeah. You can be right on a lot of things and I can be right on a lot of things too. But at the end of the day, you've got to make that decision.
Yeah. Exactly.
Exactly,
man. So I appreciate that, man. I love this conversation too, because there's certain things that are black and white, but I don't know. It's hard to,
there's just too much out there.
There's too much out there, man. It's overwhelming as shit. I kind of miss the days when it was just like, I don't know, I'd just get on bodybuilding.com and get a meal plan and a workout, because that was like the only source. It was like my military days. I'm like, well, dude, all my friends are doing this same thing. Yeah. Maybe I could have kept the pro hormones away because that caused some issues later on. But, it was cool. You just buy this one online and then that one gets banned. So you buy the one that's almost like it online too. That was so dumb. But I was young, man.
Hey, you learned a few things.
But at least with the bodybuilding, it wasn't as chaotic. And now if you just start looking up nutrition and stuff, it's like, what the hell do I do?
Yeah, exactly. And
how do I even move forward?
I think that's the most frustrating part too, because you get clients in the door, they're like, well, I read this online, and I'm like, okay, makes logical sense probably. Mm-hmm. And then you're like, well, I've never really heard that, or I'm not really sure. So then you go look it up and get 5 kind of false flags of they're wrong.
Yeah.
But, at the end of the day, you've got to really kind of meet them in the middle. I try to meet them in the middle of well, you could probably do this, or you could do that, or, do whatever you want to. You can follow this person, but you can follow my advice too.
Yeah.
So, you kind of have to take a little bit of here, a little bit of there, and formulate your own plan for it, right?
Give them both a shot, and then see what I say, see what they say. Give them both a shot. See where you feel better.
I agree 100%, because it's you can do a little bit from here, a little bit from there, and then formulate a plan. And then if it works, great. If not, let's go back to the drawing board.
Exactly. And I tell people all the time, how I eat, I told you, that works for me, man. My body adapted to that, and I don't like eating throughout the day. It's very inconvenient. It makes me kind of tired.
Yeah.
And I just don't want to touch food or a microwave or anything. So I can be geared in all day, and then I get everything I need to, and I sustain till the next day. But it took me a little time to adapt to that, and it feels good. But I promise you, I'd never tell anybody to do that too.
Yeah.
If you want to try it, I'll help you kind of bridge to that point. If you hate it, let's readjust.
Yeah.
But that works for me.
Yeah.
And it's just that simple.
Well, I think there's one extreme, and there's the far extreme of what you can and can't do.
Yeah.
So if you haven't tried something that's a little bit more moderately extreme, don't go far off the deep end with that, because what you've done, I would never do that.
Yeah.
I do fast a little bit, but it's not all day, because then I get a little hangry.
Yeah, see?
So it works for you, but what I've done recently, and it's not gonna work for everybody else either, but I may not eat till 11 o'clock, and I'm up at 4 a.m. sometimes with that. But do I feel great? Maybe. I drink a lot of water, do a lot of aminos and things of that sort, a lot of caffeine too, and then I'll eat probably a bigger lunch and then a protein shake, and then I won't eat till I get home.
You shouldn't have caffeine, dude. Caffeine's so bad for you, apparently.
Yeah, supposedly, but I think I'm doing pretty good right now.
Yeah, I'm thriving.
I'm awake.
I'm in the best place I've been here. I don't know.
I'm not going to do, there's, that's an extreme, no caffeine. Caffeine's going to deteriorate your body or whatnot. Yeah, probably if you have, 1,500 milligrams a day, that could be bad for a lot of things, but in moderation, just like anything else, it's probably okay.
Yeah, typically how many people are having 1,500 milligrams a day?
There's
there's some extremes.
4 scoops. I don't do that, but I've heard 2 or 3 scoops are combining pre-workouts that are 2 and 3, 4, that type stuff. But like that's extreme. But it's also like, if I don't have caffeine, you don't want to be around me.
Yeah, wash a Tide Pod down with your 4 scoops of pre-workout. Just like make a trend. Yeah.
If you see me,
don't take that advice. I am not suggesting that.
The last time I did no caffeine, we were on a trip and I couldn't have it. I had to drink it through. I drank it before I went through the customs at the airport, and I went probably 10, 12 hours without any caffeine. Got an excruciating headache and took a 4-hour nap.
You got to work through it, like they all say.
I said don't suggest that, but I couldn't work through it. My mental clarity was not there.
No, it was like, I get it. Yeah. Well, you see videos and they're like, after 30 days, I was back to normal. I'm like, listen, I don't have 30 days to adjust. I got to be back at work for 16 hours the next day.
This is normal. That's not normal. You're crazy.
Maybe when I'm like way down the road and I got time just to chill, but right now I'm just going to ride out my energy drinks and do what I do because like I need to do that.
Yeah, it's working, baby. Let's just keep rolling with
it. This is great because like, I'm glad somebody kind of gets that, because I hate when people are like, no. And I'm like, that's not going to work anyways.
Yeah.
Even if I think you're right, I'm going to rebel against it.
Yeah.
Try to prove you wrong,
I try it for a couple hours and I'm like, nah.
That was the stupidest advice I've ever gotten.
Yeah.
Hey, man, but it's funny. We just went on this whole tangent for like almost this entire segment. But I think there's a lot of value there too. And I think we're both professionals in what we do. We've both done it for a long time, right? And just in our own ways. But we come together on these simple truths, because we're not trying to be multimillionaires by selling a freaking single meal plan and one workout plan, because we're putting the truth out there. And like, honestly, like the things like that are harder. Well, it goes back to simple saying, like, nobody wants to hear the truth. They'd much rather hear there's like a workout plan, a meal plan that works for them. Yeah. And they'll a lot of times, most of the time, bend to that before they will.
Well, yeah, I think it's easier to probably pay for that or see that for somebody who hasn't done anything. They see it's a simple plan and program, as opposed to putting in the sweat equity of showing up, doing the hard stuff, because no one wants to do the hard stuff anymore. We know that. Yeah. I mean, hard is hard. And there's, if you haven't done anything for a long time, like some of the clients we are involved with, they might have, haven't worked out in 3, 4, 5 years. Used to coulds, I call them, used to could do this, used to could do that, do that. But,
I was all conference. Like, great.
You can't, it's not sustainable. So like the easy way out is to probably do a done for you thing and to keep doing that and not get results, or change your mindset a little bit. Let's embrace the suck. Like, you've heard before, embrace the suck. Things are going to be hard for probably the first month. But if you can get beyond that, maybe 30 days or maybe 60 days, things become easier because it's a lifestyle choice now. Yep. It's a, it's part of the routine. And as like one of my clients said today, she's back training and she's down 40 pounds. She goes, no, this is part of my life. Yeah. This is not a thing I can do.
It's a part of you.
Yeah, it's a part of me. It's a part of my routine. It's a part of my life now. I'm down 40 pounds. And like, people don't see that, because one of her friends was coming with her and she just balked at, like, I don't want to pay for that. And if I do, I'm only going to do it for 2 months. She goes, nah, this ain't the thing you can do for 2 months and quit. Yeah. It's the things you got to do sustainable for a lifetime. Because what happens is you get on the roller coaster of emotions, you're feeling great, and then life happens, you fall off of it. And then what happens? You gain that 15, 20 pounds back, and it's easy just to sit at home and eat the cake and the ice cream and drink the sodas and feel sorry for yourself and hopping back on the track with it. So if we can, encourage people to, make this a lifestyle thing, things are going to happen. You're going to fall off. You just got to get back on the next day or the day after. Yeah. Or who knows? It may be a week and then you're back on it for that. But if you can do that for, a lifetime, you're going to be a lot better off than just trying things or doing what's, I call it the flashy object thing, or the latest workout that got this person 10 pounds off when you couldn't do the things that we've talked about the last 8 months to keep your 10 pounds off or lose the 10 pounds. So don't jump from ship to ship to, the flashiest thing. Like, let's be consistent on where you are and implement those things, and you'd be a lot better off. You make it that lifestyle as opposed to that, that one month deal.
Yeah, that consistency is the key.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, we skipped over his story with this past segment, diving into just, our thoughts on certain topics. So take that as you will, but do your research, stay consistent, pretty simple. really just stay consistent with wherever you're at and just keep going, figure out what works for you. But we're back to you getting to Florida State. Boom. And you're going to speed through it if you want.
Yeah, we're going to roll through this.
Yeah.
I worked at, it was known as like I don't say Tallahassee Fitness Center. It was more of on the close to the mall side, not the mall that all the players stole all the stuff from and got, charged with back in the 90s with, I think, Peter Work and a lot of those guys stole shoes or whatnot.
Oh, really?
It was the I can't remember the name of the mall. It was on the other side of town, so off Monroe Street, South Monroe Street. So I worked there during grad school. That's kind of where I got my training side of it. I wasn't certified, but my boss there, the late Vince Graham, he gave me an opportunity, and that's kind of where I started training people. So I got all the misfits and the broken down people that I would say no one else wanted to work with, and that's kind of where I've kind of molded my business now. From where that kind of started there, and my wife and I, we got married during that time. We moved back to Tennessee after I finished grad school, probably one of the hottest days of the year. I don't remember how hot it was, but I just couldn't breathe. It was so hot.
At the wedding?
No, not the wedding, but the graduation. The day I moved, yeah. So the day I moved, it was so hot. But we moved back in 2011 back to Tennessee for that. And here I was back in my father-in-law's grocery store. I always had a job there. No matter how good or bad I had it, I always had a job with him. I'm just grateful for that as well. But my first real, I say big job was at the downtown Nashville YMCA selling gym memberships. Lady took a risk. I had probably too much on my plate. It had no experience, but I started selling gym memberships, and then from there, sold a lot of memberships and learned a lot of like how the gyms usually work or how they should work and the ins and outs of that, what I didn't like and liked about it. And, from there I trained a little bit, saw some boot camps, and then I was like, I need a little bit more. So that's where I transitioned. I was still working there, but then I went to a place called Healthways. I was a health coach for 3 years doing corporate fitness, coaching for Fortune 500 companies like Dollar General, Hershey Chocolate, Eli Lilly, State of Tennessee, just coaching people on behavior change. And it's a lot of things that you would not think were probably difficult, but a lot of people struggle with the most simplistic stuff of health and fitness, but just setting those behaviors and changing those things over time. And I kind of got bored like I usually do, and I'll jump from a job after 2 or 3 years. And then I had an opportunity at an orthopedic clinic, one of the larger orthopedic clinics in town. Coming into it thinking you know everything about health and fitness, but you're working with a lot of the beaten down, broken people having surgeries, reconstruction of ACLs, MCLs, total joint replacements, shoulder repair, neck fusions, just you name it. I think I've worked with every element, and if not, I'll find a way to work with that person just based on what I know and what I don't know, but asking for advice from people I know. But I work with those people, and that was like probably the first opportunity I had working with high-level elite athletes. Yeah, and these were high school athletes that I worked with, and one of the first ones I worked with, his name is Emmanuel Hall. He, I think, now sells or invests in high-end real estate downtown Nashville, but freak athlete who got tackled from behind and broke his ankle, had plates and screws in it, and ended up, through his career going to University of Missouri, leading the SEC in yards per catch and a lot of outstanding awards during that time. But then went on to, probably my first athlete who made it to the NFL. And making it to the NFL is hard. So it's a matter of like, if you make the practice squad, you made it to the NFL, man. Yeah. I don't care, if you played or didn't play. But from there, it kind of built a portfolio of like working with athletes and then working with the general pop for the ailments and injuries we had. And did that for a while, but literally probably 3 years into it, I got let go. We won't go into details on that, but then try to find myself like what I really wanted to do. So a guy from my church, actually I lived in Hermitage at the time. I was driving to Franklin for that. He owned.
When was this?
This was in 2000, probably 16.
Oh.
For that. So I lived in Hermitage and I worked at 615 Sports Training in Mount Juliet. I taught classes there. I drove to Franklin, trained a few people I had there. And then kind of back and forth. I did a little bit of corporate wellness at Healthways. I was teaching some of their boot camp classes for them. And just kind of full circle, 615 Sports Trading opening up another facility on Church Street in Murfreesboro. I was driving from Hermitage to Mount Juliet to Franklin to Murfreesboro back to Hermitage for about probably 6 or 8 months. And if you want to do gas mileage on that, I fill it up every 3 days at the super sketchy gas station on Church Street across from across from Cracker Barrel. A lot of sketchy things over that way, but that's late at night. So I had to make a decision. Was I going to do this for the next 3 years, or was I actually going to try to set up shop in Brentwood, Franklin, Williamson County, and like start my gym? So I was like, thanks for the opportunity, but I'm going to have to, move my way back into Williamson County. So that's where I rented from a guy through COVID, and kind of built my business from there. He left, or just never came back. After that happened, he kind of went belly up and kind of deserted the place. So I floated it. Me and another guy floated it for probably the next year just to get out. And then I sublet from a client of mine inside of a Krav Maga studio on Murfreesboro Road in Franklin. It's 14 feet wide by, I think, 42 feet long. So it was nice rectangle space.
Yeah.
Not real big, but it was what I had to do to get the job done for that. So it was great. Did that for 2 years. And then here in the last 3 years, come up on 3 years in Brentwood off George Patton, I opened up, full-on brick and mortar spot for that Premier Performance Training, where, like I said before, we specialize in 50 and older. We also do sports performance training. So the journey was like long, and it seems like my story's 100 miles long, but we all have a story, and where we get to, I've had a lot of things go good, and I've had a lot of things go bad.
Yeah.
And learned a lot of things along the way for that. But I think a lot of that adversity through sports and college kind of taught me a lot. Work hard, do the best you can, and things are going to work itself out.
Yeah.
And I would say I probably, back credit to my dad, my mom for, being missionaries. And, you know anything about missionaries, they do a lot of work for a little bit of money. I don't know what they got paid, but I knew it was enough to have food on the table and things that we needed, necessities, but it wasn't a lot.
Yeah, wasn't in excess.
It's not excess like, you see some, preachers and things making a lot of money. But my dad worked, he was a school teacher, a coach, he was a referee, he was, a preacher, teacher, whatever else. And both my parents did whatever they had to get the job done. And I think that's what's kind of led me to the point where I am now, where, people tell you you're not, I don't say good enough, you'll never make it. After I got let go from my job 3 years ago, I got slapped with I thought was a letter from an attorney, and I was like, man, I'm about to go to court and pay a lot of money. But I got through those things with more of a scare tactic in that way. But what has helped me to build the gym and facility and be, I call it the number one spot for your friends and family to be in Brentwood, Tennessee, is that Premier Performance Training. It's through a lot of hard work, adversity, and just overcoming challenges of people telling you no, or you're not good enough, or you'll never make it on your own.
Yeah.
And so proof is in the pudding. I say, another thing I like to say, we're not the cheapest, but we're the best place that you need to be, and it's up for you to decide that. And I will wholeheartedly swear by that. Like, that's the place you need to be, and we've built something from the ground up. And it's up for you to come and determine that, but you also need to experience why we're different, and why we're the best place. I don't want to talk about it. I want to show you. So just come into the facility, and you'll know about it.
Well, I need to come by there and just check it out at some point.
Yeah,
you have to put me through something. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll do something.
Yeah, figure something out. I mean,
it's a grunge. I would call it a grunge jam. I mean, it's not grungy, but it's also like we're not flashy. I don't need to be.
It's very similar to my space, like you said, right?
Yeah, it's barbells, dumbbells, squat racks, bikes and rowers and bands, and med balls. Like, for me, my theory is if you can't move functionally with your body weight, then resistance really doesn't matter anyway. So you don't want to keep loading dysfunction, because dysfunctional movement becomes more dysfunctional, and as the more dysfunction happens, the more you get hurt.
Hey man, it's like you. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Well, we're about building people from the ground up, right?
Yeah.
Got to lay the foundation to build that house up, and that's where we like to go. We got to start from the floor sometimes with people, because they're so debilitated And we got to work our way to standing or work our way to bands, dumbbells, and be more progressive that way. But it's not for everybody because everybody has their own journey and where they're going to start. It's just a matter we're gonna help you along that way and do the best we can to provide you with those tools necessary to be better.
I love it, man. Yeah. Hell yeah, dude. Well, I mean, you sell it very well. This is like a commercial.
That's great.
No, but you've got a great story, man. And obviously there's so many details we could probably dive into regarding especially the last part of the journey.
Yeah.
Because that's like in that short amount of time, you went from, starting grad school all the way to where you're at now, right? Yeah. And I'm trying to think, like, what do you think? I mean, obviously I could tell that like getting laid off that job was a big turning point for you. So it was a blessing because it led you
for sure.
And everything that happens is a blessing.
Yeah.
There's always something to take away from it. But along with that, what do you think has been some of the most impactful moments of your journey? You think that like really played an impact on where you're at now? Because it takes it takes balls to like go all in on yourself and start your own place and do all that. So, and I always am going to appreciate that because I get that.
So. Yeah, I think it's probably having some, I don't say some buy-in from long-term clients because when I got let go, it was a lot of like, hey man, we're going to follow you wherever you go. Well, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
I've got a core group of people who followed me and were with me 110% of the way, whether it was, training at the dumpy apartment complex that I probably shouldn't be there because I didn't have any insurance, to the place I was at for renting, to training at their house, to the park, to wherever we could get some training sessions in.
Yeah.
I think just the buy-in from them and knowing like, hey, no matter what, they liked or appreciated what I had to provide for them, the results, or maybe just they saw in me something I didn't know, but they stuck with me.
Yeah.
And some of those have been with me for 10, 12 years.
That's amazing.
Or that, life happens and they may come and go, but they're still coming back to where it all started. Way before, where I met them the first time.
Yeah, man.
So, my longest client, she still trains me to this day. She's 12 years into it.
Hell yeah.
Even when they're, sometimes on vacation, they're going to Zoom in or FaceTime, whatever, still get some sessions in. But I think having that from not only support from them, but probably my wife as well. She sacrificed a lot for jobs, promotions, and moving and things like that. And I'm probably not always as vocal about being appreciative for that, but I think having her support for that, working long days, long hours, and sacrificing those things necessary to live out a dream, I think that's the biggest thing for that. And, on top of that, I would say, my parents are probably the biggest support and cheerleaders on that. So if I need anything hung or, fixed, my dad's usually up for it because I'm not a handyman. I don't claim to be.
Wait, you're not that's what men's supposed to do. Yeah.
The picture's usually crooked or it's off centered or whatnot. So I think it's just the buy-in from that, but also having that, I'll say group of people that probably believed in you more than you probably thought. Cause it's always been my dream to have my own fitness facility.
Yeah.
And that was grad school, and I didn't know what it took. And now I know, and it's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, a lot of money wasted, a lot of, sacrifice from that, a lot of different things that you didn't know it took. So, here we are 9 years to next month will be, I think, started year number 9 of, people telling you couldn't make it or you're not making enough money to help the gym grow. But it's also having I've got mentors that have helped me along the way too. So without them, I don't think I would be as near as, where I'm at. And people say, why don't you pay for mentorship programs? I say, because it's worth it.
Yeah.
I mean, 2 years into it, I was going to quit. I was sitting in the office of the gym I was renting, and I was like, this sucks. I'm going to go back to corporate where somebody can write me a check, and this can be great because I don't have to work as hard. As of it now, I kind of blew that off. I was like, there's no way possible.
No way.
It can't do that. So I was like, if the gym doesn't work, I'm going to find something else that's going to work. And, we're going to go from there because, who knows? I tell people, I say, I could have a plumbing business. I could have a window washing business. I could have something in the service industry because I can build relationships with people. I can talk to people and build rapport. You may not like me. That's okay. That's your deal. But I feel like I'm a pretty likable dude.
Yeah, I'd say so.
I get along with most everybody.
I like you, dude.
That's good. So it's just if it can do that and just share those things with other people in the community or just be more involved with that, I think those things go a long way as far as building the business.
I think just the conversations you have with people, and dude, if you can if they can see your passion and your desire, people will see if you're about it, right? I remember years ago this guy got like a hand tattoo, and he was kind of like a partner in the gym I managed. And he was like, you just ruined all your chances of succeeding in business. And this is way before I had head tattoos.
Yeah.
And like, man, I'm making more connections than I ever thought imagined. Yeah. And nobody ever is like, oh, what's the, and these are people of all ages. They're just, and we're building things and we're, working behind the scenes. And like, I'm like, dude, this guy was so wrong. You know what I'm saying? But it's because of how you hold yourself and how you've learned how to make these connections over the years and present yourself right. And you get so fired up and passionate about it that like, dude, that's such a selling point right there, man. And what you do, like when people can see that it's authentic and it lights you up, like they want to be a part of that, man. Yeah. And
so if you don't have haters, I've been told this a lot, if you don't have haters or people bashing you, you haven't been as successful. You're not doing it as good as you should be. Yeah. For that. And we're all going to have haters, and I've got them too. And it's whatever. Yeah. I just tell them, in a nice way, thanks, but I don't really give a crap what you have to say.
Thanks for the chip.
Yeah.
I just keep stacking them up.
Yep. Stack them up. I'll write your name down too.
Yeah.
And then, when you're either out of business or doing something else, that's great. Yeah. I'll still be around. So thank you. Thank you for
Good luck.
That.
Yeah, man.
I appreciate you.
Oh, dude, I'm telling you, in this last little bit, you hit on so many points that are relatable. We do got to close out. But like, I could talk to you about a million of these things, just even going back to the wife, right? That support, dude, like having a partner that supports you, especially as you're building a business and believes in you, like that is everything.
Yeah, it's huge.
Because the one time they're telling you maybe you should quit, that would totally screw your life up, right?
Yeah.
So that the fact that she's been there and she supported you, like props to her, because I see it in my wife. And, sometimes it feels like you're the only one that sees it. And if you just need them to see it enough to be there.
Just a little bit more.
Trust me. And like that's because that could change everything, especially if you got a family with them, And so that's huge, man. You just hit on so many different points. And you talk about like, I was just telling somebody this morning, somebody could come in here and offer me like $250,000 a year for some corporate job. I have to travel, do all these things. And I'd be like, I couldn't do it.
I'll pass.
I couldn't do it, man. And like, it sounds insane to people like, yeah, right. And I'm like, no, but I'm for real. Like if you live with purpose, man, and you're doing what fires you up, that's all that stuff secondary, man, because you are who you are now because of all that adversity and that growth that you went through. And that's awesome, man.
Yeah. And I appreciate that. That's like they say, impact over income. I mean, there's a truth to that too.
There is.
It's like you can put a huge amount of money out there, but it's not going to bring you as much joy and passion for that. Because I mean, at the end of the day, it's more about relating to people, building those relationships with people. And sometimes, the impact you have on them will go a lot longer. And then usually the money comes on the back half of that, right? So it's like you don't see it now, but all the fruit you've laid out to, conversations you've had or just the impact you've had, usually it comes back. It's probably not as much as you'd like at times, but then sometimes it's like, bam.
Yeah, holy
all
crap.
These people at one time or all these, you get more recognition. And you're like, oh, I'm making more of an impact than I thought.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy because like one thing the thing is the roots.
Yeah.
Like we're focused on like sprouting up and going upward, but you want strong roots first because you could just start off as like a little root and grow, but you're going to get blown over and you're done, right? You want those roots as strong and connected as possible. Then when you grow, you can hit with all the winds, all the another tree could fall into you. You're like, just easy. Another scar, dude. I mean, that is such a powerful thing to visualize, like with your life and your pursuit. And dude, I'm excited because I feel like you're 3 years in. You said since you started your gym, right?
I'm 9 years. Well, 3 years into the spot I'm at now.
The spot you're at now. Yeah, that's what I meant. So I mean, because I've had my business for 5 years, but I always say, dude, it started fresh when I moved into my building. Yeah. So I'm right at about 3 years too here in a couple months, and and I say it all the time, man. I'm like, just getting started, baby. Yeah. And like I see that with you, and I'm excited to see where you go, and I wish you all the success, man. I'm rooting for you, bro.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it.
I'll send people your way that I know out there, and keep crushing it, man.
Yeah, it's been fun, but it's also like, you think about 3 years is not a long time. No. 9 years is a long time, but there's people been, running their gyms for 15, 20 years. And hopefully that's, maybe not, I'm not training until I'm 60, but I have a lasting impact.
You got it.
Somebody will remember me.
Yeah, for sure, man. 100%. I do got one last question for you.
Yep.
What is your relentless pursuit?
Man, mine's to spread my passion of health and fitness to, those in the local community for that. I always like to say we can't be worldwide famous if we're not local famous. And not that I need to be famous, but there's more people in my local community that need to know who I am, but also need to know more about health and fitness than people in Nashville. I'm in Brentwood, not Nashville. So people in my community need to know more about that. My pursuit for that is to spread more generosity for, maybe it's donating or having people come in for little to no cost, just experience what we have. So maybe that passion that I have will kind of roll into their lifestyle and hopefully, lead into somebody else's lifestyle as well.
Right on, man. Beautifully said. Well, I appreciate you, man. It's been an honor, Aaron.
Yeah, buddy. I appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Hey,
sir.
I'm looking forward to next time. All right.
Yeah, buddy.
All right. Take care.